when I started Amazon, I couldn't even fathom it being a full-time job. Like, it was just something fun. It was a hobby. And I didn't look at it as a business. I didn't reinvest my money. I spent my money. And so when I finally started getting involved in like groups and starting to hear other people's stories about doing it full time was when it really lit it up for me to say like, oh, and then it was like, okay, where would I have to be to feel comfortable doing that?
E-commerce is the greatest business opportunity of our generation.
What is up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Ecom Unlimited podcast. Thanks for tuning in and for listening. It is your host, Kaj, here with my co-host, Josh.
Going on.
And today we have on a guest that we are very excited to have a conversation with, Tracey. How are you?
Good, great.
And on Instagram and Twitter, you're known as Seven Figure Grammy, right?
Yeah, Grammy with M's.
Grammy with M. Well,
yeah, like the award.
Right. Tell us where that name came from.
It basically, like, when my middle son, he and his wife came and told me they were expecting their first child, I was like, so help me, do not call me grandma. I am not that old. So it was just kind of trying to figure out something that kind of worked for me. So.
Gotcha. And one unique point that you have is you've been in e-commerce for a long time, a lot longer than all of, the college kids that are finding it and flipping sneakers. So tell us about, how you got into e-commerce and Amazon and Walmart and all that.
Yeah, so my journey started back in the 90s on eBay. Did a little bit of flipping of collectibles and things like that, but it really began with my middle son again. He's always the constant. But he wanted the very first Lego Harry Potter Hogwarts castle that was impossible to find. And the only place I could find it was on eBay. I was at Toys R Us every day looking for it, Walmart every day looking for it, could not find it. And I couldn't pay the eBay price. I was a teacher, just like I couldn't. And then I walked into Costco and they had a pallet of them. And so I quickly put one in my cart and kind of started walking off. And then I was like, well, wait a second. Like, if other people are selling it on eBay, like, why couldn't I sell it on eBay and then pay for his? So I picked up a handful, went home, sold them in 20 minutes, and immediately drove back and bought the rest of them. And that was the start. So I did eBay really hard and heavy, mostly during Q4 toys, because I was working full time. And that kind of evolved into an invitation to join Amazon once they let third-party sellers on the marketplace. So I've been on Amazon for a lot of years.
So you got invited to Amazon versus nowadays people are having to break down walls to get on the platform.
Yeah, so they were looking for people who were like, sellers, and reached out. There was actually 3 or 4 of us that kind of collaborated on eBay and reached out to us. And of course, there weren't as many categories, there weren't as many items. It was very much, it wasn't even Wild Wild West. It was more like Plymouth Rock initially, but very quickly evolved into kind of Wild Wild West that people talk about, where people were making 40 different listings for Tickle Me Elmo, and like none of them were good, and it was chaotic. But they did a really good job, I think, over time of ramping up. But there was no FBA back then. There were no softwares to help. Everything was just your gut, basically telling you whether or not to buy something and test it out. And then, like, you had to ship everything yourself, just like eBay. And there wasn't even integrations for like shipping apps. Like, you had to copy and paste over into the post office, website, or write it out or type it out and then take it to the post office and have it weighed and like pay for the postage at the post office. So very, very old school pioneer.
Yeah, that is the real trenches. Wow. When people say trenches today, and we're just looking,
no idea.
We have no clue. So what year was that you got invited to Amazon? And then the follow-up question is, how many years until FBA became a thing?
So I got invited in the year 2000 to get onto Amazon. It was like mostly like small electronics, like cameras and things like that. Toys came pretty quickly after that. Um, I'm not sure when FBA started. Personally, I didn't do any FBA for 15 years because I got so used to doing FBM, and I was like, why would I send my products to them and pay them to have them shipped? Like, well, I just was like, it didn't make sense to me because I'd done it the other way for so long. With eBay and then again with Amazon. And so it just never clicked with me that like, oh, that would relieve so much time if I were to send it in and let them do the customer service. I guess a lot of it was also trust. I'm a very controlling type A personality. And so it was like the thought of giving up that control was a little like intimidating initially. So it was about 2015 before I did that.
Oh my goodness. And so that whole time you're just doing FBM. And at what point or what year did you go full time?
So I didn't go full time until 2021. So I was working,
Oh, wow.
I had moved from teaching over into kind of corporate America, and I led a bunch of teams in the software industry for about 20 years. And it was a good job. It was a good gig, and kind of just, kicked this on the side, the side hustle before side hustle was a term. And then because I enjoyed it, like I just really thoroughly enjoyed it. But I lost my job during COVID. And so we threw gasoline on the fire, and my son also lost his job. And so he started working full time for me. I went back into a consulting gig for a while, but then I started seeing the opportunity. Like the thing is like, when I started Amazon, I couldn't even fathom it being a full-time job. Like it was just something fun. It was a hobby. And I didn't look at it as a business. I didn't reinvest my money. I spent my money. And so when I finally started getting involved in like groups and starting to hear other people's stories about doing it full-time was when it really lit it up for me to say like, oh, and then it was like, okay, where would I have to be to feel comfortable doing that? And so I made that transition in about October of 2021.
Got it. Okay. And so before you were full time, it sounds like you were just doing mainly retail arbitrage.
Yeah, so I basically did retail arbitrage, I would say was 99% of my business for 15, 20 years. I had a few wholesale relationships that were local, that I was able to go and pick up like big quantities of products and things like that over the years, but they were sporadic. I didn't do a lot of OA either. Like I just enjoyed the whole retail arbitrage side of things. But as things kind of evolved, you kind of have to get the volume that you need. So like I said, my son started working for me in 2020 full-time. So we had a full-time kind of process going. It was just I would shop in the evenings and then he would do everything during the day.
Got it. Okay. So now you're doing wholesale and retail arbitrage kind of hybrid.
Yeah, so we have a hybrid. We were about 50% wholesale and about 35% RA and about 15% OA, probably. I mean, it kind of like fluctuates a little bit month to month, but that's kind of the averages.
Got it. Okay, cool. Josh, passing it off to you.
Yeah. Now how long, like, what has your revenue been like over the years? And we'll just take like, I think the past 7. I don't think we need to go all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
But kind of just take us through, as you are getting closer to maybe making it a full-time gig, like what numbers were you seeing?
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I was kind of hobby status. So like, I pulled some pretty good numbers like in Q4, but leading up into like 2019, my numbers were really low. I went through a divorce. I relocated, so like it was kind of just here and there or whatever. So really in 2019, I think I did about 380,000. And then in 2020, we did around 1.2 million. And then we've been around the 2.2-ish area the last couple of years. We would have been more, but we had a fire and we lost inventory in the end of 2022. So my house, I hadn't completely moved into a warehouse yet, and I lost my entire home. So.
Oh my gosh. That sounds terrible. Oh
Yeah,
my
and
gosh.
we were using probably 3/4 of my home for storing inventory, so it was a kind of a double whammy. And so if you ever want to know about business insurance and how that works,
I was gonna
I
say,
definitely can talk about that. I am still working through it 18 months later, so it's not a
wow.
fast process.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. So that's a kind of a lot to unpack there. Now, I'll probably we might actually swing back to that, but talk to us about like capital. How did you end up, finding the capital required to get the inventory that you needed?
Yeah, so when I moved and kind of decided, oh, I'm going to kind of reboot this thing. I didn't have a lot of free capital. Like I said, I've been through a pretty brutal divorce. Had a lot of debt that I took on because I had a good income. I got most of the debt, so I was trying to like pay off the debt and that type of thing. I didn't have good credit, so I had no credit cards. So I actually had a garage sale and I sold about $1,500 that weekend. And I took all that money, and that's what I started with to kind of relaunch to get to that 380,000 that first year. And it was just completely flipping that over and over and over again in product, because I had a job at the time, so I could do that. I didn't have to take any money out. And we kind of like rode that cash wave for the first almost 2 years. And then I finally took an Amazon loan, and
Okay.
that kind of catapulted us up to kind of to the next level. And then I didn't get credit cards until about 15 months ago. So
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah.
Wow. That's
Wow.
very
That's
interesting.
that's crazy.
Yeah. We were very much focused on ROI and moving products fast and trying to turn and burn that money and get it back in the hopper, so that we didn't have to take, we didn't have the capability to take the money other ways.
Yeah, that's huge. I kind of do want to circle back to, business insurance. Like
Mhm.
if we're talking to any of like the individuals who are just starting, or new people who are like, I don't need like business insurance. Like, what is that even for? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not big enough to even need that. Like, what would your like advice be to them?
I mean, well, first of all, like if you talk to an insurance provider and you explain like where you are in your business, it's all kind of scaled to where you are in your business. So you're not going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars if you're only doing, $20,000 a year. But for us, having that, what it did for us is it allowed us to rent additional warehouse space because we lost the space of the home that we were using. It gave us some initial money to pay for staffing while we were kind of transitioning, in that period of time. Obviously, it paid for the loss of the inventory itself. And I would say make sure you have really good, clean receipts, invoices, not just scanned, but scanned to the cloud, because if you lose the machine that they're on, that presents a whole nother can of worms. And then what we're working through right now is what's called business loss, because when you lose thousands of dollars of worth of inventory and you're not able to sell it, that puts your business back on its heels a little bit. So there is this business loss insurance that basically pays you with insurance what you would have been making if you hadn't had the loss. So they look at, where you were, where you are, what it should have been, and all of that kind of stuff. So it you just don't know what can happen, and you have to think to yourself, if everything was gone tomorrow, can you pay your bills? Like, and if the
Yeah.
answer is no, then you definitely should have insurance.
Yeah,
If you're
absolutely.
independently wealthy, maybe not, but like, you need to protect yourself, and it's just a level of protection, just like your home insurance or anything else.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's like such a good point. And I think like the key thing there was like organization. Like besides like inventory receipts, is there other stuff that you had to like present to the insurance
Oh,
company so that they could file
yes.
that claim?
Yeah. So when you're talking about that business loss, you have to have your profit and loss statements, monthly employee payment statements. Like, luckily we use QuickBooks. I have a great accountant / bookkeeper. We do everything QuickBooks, so we're able to run those reports. But like, you have to show them like what it looked like before, what your business looked like before financially, and then what it looked like and the impact to it moving forward. And if without those records, like you're going to, yeah, it's going to be worse than just having the loss itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, being organized is so big. We talk to a lot of newer sellers and their organization is just like all over the place with leads, stores, coupons, all that kind of stuff, and their inventory. So,
well, and the thing is if you start that process in the beginning and get into kind of your systems, which, a lot of us bigger sellers, we talk a lot about systems and SOPs, and that's basically just like the pattern of how you do things. Like it's always done this way. And if you set that up in the beginning and get used to it, then it's not as painful as if down the road, all of a sudden you go, whoa, I got to get this mess cleaned up. Like, it's just, it just is it's so much better to just start with that.
100%. Now, what does your business structure look like right now?
In terms of like
employees.
Oh yeah, okay. I was like, we're an S corp. I didn't know if that's what. Yeah, we're an S corp. No, so excuse me. I have a 4,000 square foot warehouse, and I have a full-time warehouse operations manager. That's my son that works full-time. We have 2 full-time. I don't really want to call them preppers because they do more than prep. They actually can create listings. They can create shipments. They can do all the shipment work, that type of thing. And they know eBay backwards and forwards. So 2 full-time people there. I have 1 part-time employee. He's a college student, but he's an employee status. And then I have 8 contractors that we call in depending on kind of where our needs are. So some of them are moms that come in and work while their kids are at school. Some are college kids. So we just kind of have a little pool of people and we put the call out and say who wants work, and people will sign up and show up.
Very nice.
That's cool. Like Love that. So you've always done all prep yourself, right?
Not always. I did try a prep center once and I did not have a great experience. So actually, I had surgery and I was laid up during Q4 of 2021, actually, right after I went full time. So I was pretty much all OA and I went to a prep center and it was a disaster. So I won't say more than that.
Got it. And so it seems like, but you have good systems in your own warehouse to make sure you keep your calls. So do you know what your warehouse cost per unit is? Like,
yes. Yeah. My son is a master. Like he has spreadsheets left and right. All of our unlisted stuff is tabulated, and we know what's in the warehouse at any given time, which is also another thing for insurance purposes. But yeah, so we run about 48 to 53 cents a unit, and that includes our warehouse costs, our utilities, and our staff and everything, all of our supplies.
That is so good. 55 cents and under. I mean, you're killing it. And then how many units are you moving per month?
Per month, let's see. We do probably 16 to 20,000 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's so much.
Where's your average sale price at? Is it on the lower end?
It is on the lower end. Okay. Yeah, we really loved small and light. Like that was our jam. And then I just went through a big seasonal truckload, and most of that stuff was $10 and under as well.
Yeah, I remember you sharing about that.
Yeah, we're pushing that up. We just sent in 12 pallets, and our average sale price on that is 28. So we're hoping to kind of balance it a little bit.
Got it.
Yeah. But I like those. I like the little stuff. It's good. It makes money.
That's fine. We're on the opposite end. I don't know the last time we sold something that was less than $15, if ever.
Yeah.
That might change now with some other distributors that we're working with, but I mean, I think our average sale price right now is around $50.
Yeah. I think because I do the prep in-house, that helps a lot, because
100%.
Yeah. When you're just adding 50 cents on to something that I maybe paid $1.50 for, I'm still making good profit.
Oh yeah.
Are you working with any VAs?
No, I don't have any VAs.
Wow.
Okay, so are you the primary buyer and sourcer?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the only buyer and sourcer at this
Okay.
point.
Got it. And I'm
Interesting.
assuming that those are just two things that you still enjoy doing since you're doing
Yeah, I mean, I really do. Like, I would love to get some help in that area. It's we've made a conscious effort this year, since the beginning of the year, to start cross training our staff. So we've been training our staff. Like I said, our staff now knows how to create listings, to create shipments. They didn't know that prior to January.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, like my staff can do everything they need to do with Walmart, and they know everything they can do with Amazon and everything with eBay now. So that is now freeing up both myself and my son for like additional bandwidth. So I don't have to sit here and be the one listing all the Walmart products, like that kind of thing. Like, takes me out of that, so that we can concentrate on looking at new sources, new vendors, going to trade shows, just those kind of things.
Got it. Okay. And so you mentioned Walmart and eBay as well. Obviously, we know you started eBay. That was in the early days. At what point did Walmart come into the picture?
I actually signed up for Walmart in 2019 and really started selling on it in 2020. So I'm close to 4 years, I guess, on it.
Okay. And then what's your current split look like in terms of revenue breakdown between Amazon, Walmart, and I guess eBay too?
So that's really interesting. So eBay, I will say, like, we just kind of restarted eBay, and it's mainly just to get rid of our death pile stuff.
Yep.
So
we do the same thing.
It's over there. Before we just basically donated it. So now we're getting a little money back. Last year in 2023, Walmart was 5%.
Okay.
So we did, like I said, around 2.2 million. Well, no, I guess it was more close to 10%, because we did about 270,000 on Walmart last year.
That's a good chunk.
Yeah.
Now, so far to date, it's 20%
Wow.
of our revenue.
That's
and
awesome.
We're tracking at higher than 2.2 right now. So it really is starting to snowball. I'm starting to see that effect. And it really is about just paying attention to it. I always joke that, like, I treated it as like the redheaded stepchild initially when I got it. It was like, oh, like, back in the day in 2019, 2020, with Lego, some sellers like could sell half of the Legos, but half of them were red restricted for whatever weird reason. And I was one of those that, like, half of them were red restricted. So those were the ones I went out and I would push those over onto Walmart. And then just random things that would get gated, or I didn't want to get ungated in. I think I started with Squishmallows over on Walmart before I could get ungated over on Amazon on them. And so just those kind of things. And like, I would like be very sporadic with it. And so, like, I'm sales here, sales there. But then in 2022 in Q4, I was like, I want to be really consistent and send stuff in during Q4 and see what happens. And just saw, like, oh, wow, stuff's selling. It's selling for more than it would sell over on Amazon. So this is really kind of cool. So then last year, we were very methodical and say we're going to be very consistent and make sure we're shipping in something every week to Walmart. And so that's what we did last year. And now this year, it's more of we're sending 2 or 3 shipments a week into Walmart. So we're just, and it's not that we're ignoring Amazon, we're just doing more with Walmart.
Right. Yeah. What does your software look like? I hear it's just an absolute nightmare.
So you remember when I talked about Amazon not having any software and you relied on your gut back in the day? It's kind of like that. There are some softwares out there, DataSpark and Wally Smarter being the top 2 for a little bit of product research. It does kind of help to know, like, if something will sell, but it really doesn't help tell you how much something will sell. So it's kind of something I use just to kind of double check myself before I try something, but I do tons of test buys. So it's just like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. Like, we do a lot of test buys, merchant fulfilled first before we ship in. I got burnt. I mentioned this in one of our groups. I sent in 3 pallets of sunscreen back in, 2 years ago, because I thought, oh, this is so great, because I sent like a ton of sunscreen into Amazon. and all the Amazon sunscreen just sold like crazy, and the Walmart just sat.
Oh,
Then it sold like 6,
that's
and I had to
crazy.
destroy it all. Like,
Oh,
it was like a bougie sunscreen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like a Quake brand or like cheap. And I think
Sure.
like you got to understand your customer. And I didn't really understand the Walmart customer back then. And so that's really what I've tried to focus on is through my test buys, understanding who's shopping on here and like what kind of things are they looking for. And it doesn't mean like I've sold $300 perfumes on Walmart. So it doesn't mean that high-end stuff doesn't sell, but not 3 pallets of it.
Right.
So you just kind of have to kind of figure that out.
so can you talk real quick about the Walmart customer? What have you noticed is different about the Walmart customer from the Amazon customer?
Excuse me. Yeah, it's tough. I think the Walmart customer likes buying in bulk. So like multi-packs do really well over there is what I've found. Which even if it's like more than like even what you would find on Amazon, sometimes those do really well. Obviously food products do really well, I think, on Walmart. Collectibles are kind of hit or miss. Like I feel like that's not the place people who are looking for collectibles go. It's more of like just your everyday items. Yeah, but then like you have the anomalies of, like I said, like the $300 perfumes. I've sold multiples of those, but so it's just kind of whatever. But for the most part, what I'm selling is just like the everyday products, like the stuff they would go into Walmart and buy, but they're buying it online. But maybe they're buying it in 2 packs or 4 packs or 6 packs or things like that. Which of course Amazon took away from us. So, you know, those used to do really well on Amazon too. But right now for Walmart, you can still do that.
Gotcha. Now we use inventory labs to obviously send shipments into Amazon. Can you do that with Walmart as well, or or you need a certain software, or is it just all on their website?
You do it all through their website. I've actually talked to Inventory Lab and tried to encourage anybody that will listen to me to please make one for Walmart. There are some softwares out there that will do shipments for you. I've tried them. I just didn't feel like what you got out of them was worth the money. But there are a few that actually you can send and ship in. But I couldn't recommend them. So,
Yeah.
Just like they kind of Walmart's API a lot, and I don't believe I want to say this. I don't think the lack of software for Walmart is really software providers' fault. And maybe I come from a software background, so I'm a little, I guess, I don't know. I feel bad for them. The API is just not great. Like the Walmart API just doesn't provide the same level of detailed information that the Amazon API does. So building something out, it's very, very difficult. So a lot of software companies are using the API in combination with like scraping data directly off the site. And that just is time consuming. And so you can't get to where you need to get to. So hopefully Walmart will improve their API.
Interesting.
Got it. And then, so you talked about, that gut feeling when you're looking at a product or a listing. So I guess I have a couple questions. First one is just when you're looking at a product listing that already exists, what are the main things you're looking for to estimate, okay, I should do a test buy in the first place? And then
on Walmart?
Yeah. And then when you're doing a test buy, is it just always just send in 5 units, buy 10 units, or are you cross-referencing that with, a software and maybe doing a heavier test buy?
Yeah, the amount of the test buy, I don't really rely on the software. That's more of a gut feel of, do I buy 2 or 3? Do I buy 5 or 6? Probably don't ever go more than 10 on something. And like I said, a lot of times I test it merchant fulfilled before I will send it in. But if I sell a 1 or 2 merchant fulfilled, then I'll send in like 6 to 10 through WFS and see if it sells. But in terms of looking at the listings, what I'm like, Walmart itself will put like bestseller badges, top rated, 1,000+ sold. Like it has like those little things on their website. So those are obviously great indicators of product that moves. But then you have to look and see, like, are there any third-party offers? So if something has other third-party offers, chances are it probably is selling third-party, even if Walmart appears to be selling it for less. So it's just, that's kind of a, just because you can see it for $2.98 doesn't mean I can see it for $2.98, because my store might be sold out. And so that's the kind of the Walmart weirdness. You kind of just have to kind of get out of your head and not worry so much about if Walmart's on the listing or not.
Oh, interesting. I had no idea about that, because it's the opposite with Amazon, as we know.
Right. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. Because
you see
Walmart
Amazon
doesn't.
hogging the buy box, run away.
Yeah. Walmart isn't distributing things from like a central distribution center for themselves. They're shipping from the stores. That's their model.
Okay.
So if they're shipping something, they're shipping a third-party person's item to you. So I just look at those things, and then, just, is it a nice listing with good pictures? Because listing quality on Walmart is a real big thing. They want to make sure it has at least 5 pictures, bullet points and everything. And those listings get higher up in the views. So those are pushed up kind of just inherently without having to add any kind of PPC or anything to them. So you want to make sure you're listing on a good listing.
Got it. Okay. And then how often are you creating new listings for products, or are you mainly just looking at products that already have listings?
Probably every week I create listings.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I find things that aren't on there, or that I want to make like multi-packs of or whatever, and or bundles, and I create listings all the time. But that's something I've done for 20 plus years. Like I've done it on Amazon in the early days, and I actually really enjoy creating listings and watching them rise to the top of the ratings.
Interesting. And so you were saying most of the time when you're creating listings, it's to create, specifically with Walmart, it's to create a multi-pack.
Yeah, a lot of the times it is. I'd say more than half. It's, creating a 2-pack or a 4-pack of something, because I can sell it for more, make more money on it that way.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense. Makes a ton of sense.
Yep. So what are the biggest changes that you've seen in the Amazon space over the years?
Let's see. Software, number one. Because going from no software to having software to do your research and feel good about your buys, like I can't even tell you, I will say, like, my gut was pretty good back in the day. I have 3 kids. All of their friends were kind of my sounding board for like what's cool and going to be hot and that kind of stuff. So like I did pretty well, but I would occasionally have that one thing that just didn't sell, and you're just like, oh. And so like once I learned about Keepa and started figuring Keepa out, and just like, oh my word, like I can know that it sells. Like I can know that this is ranked 1 million and I should not buy it, even though I think it's super cool myself. Like, so that obviously has been a huge transition. But I would say the communities for me is kind of really changed the whole face of the game. Because back in the day, like, being a reseller was a dirty word. Like, I'm telling you, I got so much hate at Christmas time about what an awful person I was for taking all the toys off the shelf and not allowing other kids in my community to have them. And, just those kind of things. Like, I think the whole attitude of side hustles and, that has changed. But then like the communities where you can bounce ideas off of other people who may be doing it different than you and learn something new and make your business better from it is just, it's mind blowing. Like I said, I worked in the corporate world for 20 years, and you kind of have that built in. But when you're an Amazon seller or Walmart seller or whatever, you're an island. Like, it's you and you're responsible for your business. But when you open yourself up in these communities and share, like, you get so much more back than what you share. And I think there was a lot of gatekeeping, even back in 2019. Like, people were like, I'm not going to tell you how to get ungated in Nike. And like, look, today, it doesn't really matter. Does it? So, it's like there was so much of this gatekeeping. It's like, I'm going to keep this secret and you have to pay me $1,000 for it. It's just like, yeah. When I was managing people, I was of the mindset, like, I'm going to train you to do my job, because then I can move on and do other things that are more important than that. And so that's how I worked with my people. And that, I think communities that do that share with one another, rising tide raises all ships, and I think we all become better for it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, what do you explain the Nike situation for new sellers, and how concerned are you?
And for reference, we are recording this on April 25th. So we'll see when this comes out. The situation might be totally changed, but as of right now,
April 26th, it could all change. Yeah. So Nike, you used to be able to get ungated in Nike by sending in your invoices, that type of thing. People who are currently ungated in Nike, it appears everything's normal. You can continue to sell Nike. But what happened yesterday on the 24th is Nike became restricted, which means you can't apply. So new sellers cannot currently apply to get ungated in Nike. And then today, Jordan was added, Converse was added, Hoka was added. So there's like all these kind of related brands that are kind of locking down the gates. For me, if you're ungated, great, go ahead and go sell it, whatever. I haven't sold much Nike over the years. It's just not kind of the lane I play in. But when these things happen, like I'm not ungated in Hoka and I'm not crying about it. Like, okay, whatever. There's a billion things to sell. There's a billion ways to make money. Like literally on this platform, there are so many ways to make money. And if you get so fixated on one, I just feel like you don't really understand it. Yeah. And I think, if your business is built on one brand, like if you're private label, that's one thing. But if you're building your whole business on one brand that you're going out and buying either through wholesale or RA or OA, I think that's a failed or flawed plan. So to me, diversification, and that's one of the reasons I started selling on Walmart. I just wanted to diversify a little bit and not have all of my eggs in the Amazon basket.
Even say it louder for the people in the back.
Forever, since I've been on Amazon forever, but I still don't want to have all my eggs in that basket. And the other thing about that is those are different opportunities over here. So it's not like I'm taking away, I'm just adding to. So yeah, I don't get bit out of shape about that kind of stuff. I think it's fun to watch people run around and chase their tails sometimes with it, but it's just Amazon changes the rules all the time. You just my favorite phrase is pivot. You got to be Ross. It's pivot, pivot, pivot.
That's so good. And I mean, it's so good to hear that from a veteran who's been in the game for a long time, right? Because it sounds different coming from you versus even someone coming from me, and we've been selling for a long time, right? But you've been through your inventory was literally on fire.
Yeah.
And you survived that, right? And we've had some pretty big bumps in the road too, and we've survived. But when someone who's been in the game for over 20 years has seen so many different changes, it's at the end of the day, this is really nothing. And from just a general business perspective, you've got to be diversified. You've got to be able to pivot. And so if you're a new seller and you're listening to this and you were really excited to sell Nike and now you can't sell Nike, you'll be fine. Keep your head down, keep sourcing, keep doing the inputs that are going to get you the outputs, and you'll have success.
100%.
Yeah. What are your vision for the future look like for your business?
I mean, at this point, I'm building something for my son so that he can take it over. He has a child with special needs, so he has to have a flexible schedule. And so it's just really important to me that I have something that's sustainable for him. And so trying to build up and have those processes in place so that as we bring new people on and hire them, it's really easy to train them and have him get help. But also building out the wholesale side of the business is kind of more where he wants to go. So that's kind of really why I started pulling more in that direction is he's not going to go out and RA like I do. He doesn't like that. So we can't rely on that part of the business long term. So we're trying to kind of build up our wholesale accounts and relationships and just make sure that those are going to be solid moving forward.
Yeah. Are you guys thinking about a number in terms of revenue or?
I mean, growth is awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm very content where we are at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I think last year was disappointing, but, we came off of that fire and thinking we get kind of made whole quickly and we didn't. And so it was just kind of a struggle. The whole year was just, trying to dig out of that hole. And I feel like we're almost completely out of the hole. And I have a different perspective now. It's like, oh, well, like if we do more, that's great. But if we don't, that's also great.
Yeah.
So, we're looking into maybe some additional opportunities outside of e-commerce, just again, diversify again.
Yeah.
But we'll just kind of see where the wind blows us. Like, I wouldn't mind a 3 million number
Sure.
at some point, but also if we don't get there, it's fine. Like it is. Like
Absolutely.
We pay our bills, we pay other people's bills. Like it's all good.
Yeah, I agree. At the end of the day, if all the bills can be paid and you get to keep some extra, I think you're moving in the right direction. Now you got me curious. Like, what are some other things you're looking at?
I mean, obviously real estate.
Okay.
I think here in Oklahoma where I live, cost is still pretty low. So, we've had our bumps with different over the last couple of years, but prices seem to be normalizing again. So maybe looking at maybe a rental, maybe flipping houses. I flipped a house in 2021. So redid the whole entire house pretty much by myself,
Wow.
outside of the tile work and some plumbing. But yeah, it was a pretty fun experience. And I'm actually completely remodeling my new house that I bought after the fire. So I bought a house and just kind of started it from scratch. So I really enjoy that. So maybe even just flipping houses, if the opportunity presented itself. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. What a crazy story. Going from eBay
That's my life.
First on Amazon to first on probably Walmart too. That's really inspiring. And I'm very excited to continue to track your journey over the next few years for sure.
Thank you.
Now, where can people go find you on the internet?
I am on Instagram sporadically. My handle is 7-Figure Grammy. I think part of it's my age. I just don't think about posting half the time, but I'm on there. I'm also, we have a community focused on RA and OA arbitrage with Steve and Alexa French called The Village. That's on Facebook. And and then I just dropped a Walmart course. So you can check that out too on my Instagram.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, we'll put those in the description.
I was just say all links will be in description. You guys go check it out. Again, if you found this episode valuable, please give Ecom Unlimited a like and a follow. Just stay updated on all of our new episodes, and we will see you guys on the next one.